Welcome to Yeshiva Daf. She is sponsored by Nishpasam Yakshom Now Basitz. Look, we're holding in Basra Daf Memches. We're starting at Mem Zayin and base 5 lines to the bottom. I'm going straight into a very important sugya in Shas. Oma Avuno tell you v'zovin zvine zvine. Someone who was hanged and forced to sell his property, and he was paid for it. The sale is a good sale. How he was forced? You say, go and believe me, you agreed to do it. My time, the Gemara explains. Called the Mazbin Inish, Ilav Don, Islav Mazbin. Nobody wants to sell anything. Everybody wants to keep everything. Why a person is willing to sell? Because he needs the money. So that's what we're saying. So every type of person doesn't want to sell. So I don't care if the force came because he needed the money and he sold it, or because someone else put him on the tree and put it to and sell it. So one second. There's a difference between knowing this happens on your own. You force yourself. You have money problems. Someone else forces you from the outside. Elo says the Gemara, Midatanyo, learn from the father. It says the Gemara, you force someone to bring a carbon. You force him even if he doesn't want. It has to be he wants. By a carbon, you force someone to give the carbon, even though he doesn't want to give it, until he says, I want. So 1 second. So what do you see? You see, for me, you can force someone to do something. So here he's saying, I know he wants it, because he wants to look apart. But who says he wants to sell? Someone that doesn't want to give a get, you force him until he gives a get. So you see over here that you can force someone to do something. There is a mitzvah to listen to Chachamim to write again. And this is the famous Rambam, right? The Rambam says that really, how do you force someone to give a get? He needs to do b'ratzon, because really, in his heart of hearts, he wants to do ratzon Hashem. But these yitzhar are stopping him. The Beis bring out his real ratzon. Elas svarah. So more to svarah. A person, if he's forced, he says, you know what? The guy's putting me on a tree. He's paying me. I'm not kidding. That's the basis of Talyu V'Zovin Zvin Zvin. There's a fascinating discussion that the first should bring over here. Very, very gishmak discussion. We know when the Torah was given to Am Yisrael, because we'll put the mountain over there. And the Gemara says, in Shabbos the Piches, they were forced to take the Torah. And therefore, they have an excuse not to give the Torah. So first you ask, but till you V'Zovin Zvin Zvin. Someone who's forced to do something and he gets a reward for it, it's good. You get a reward for Torah. Right? It's you get the reward, you get the so maybe you're right, they didn't want it, but till you V'Zovin Zvin Zvin. So what's the difference between there and why is it different over here? One simple answer is brought down many of the Chayim, is till you V'Zovin works only once the Torah was given. So now I'm under the realm of Torah, so I give up on things. But in order to get into the Torah, you can't force me to get the Torah. It's like a ger. And you can't force someone to be a ger. That first initial agreement, you need to be b'ratzon. So that's what they want to mechalik, but there's more apart at the Beis Hashem. We'll have the Shom HaShem and Adav on this part. Say, well, Moshe, have you do get the Musa be Yisrael kosher? By get that was forced by Yisrael is kosher. When Beis enforced it. Uve'aku pasol, but by a go it's pasol. And by going, forcing him to do what Yisrael says. Here, there's the Rashbam and the Taisus over here learn that this goes on when it's okay. Meaning, when Jews force him, it's okay. If a goy forces him, it's not okay. If a goy forces him to do what the Jews saying, it is okay. That's the Rashbam and Taisus learn over here. Rashi, Pachas, and Gitti, and also another, before we show you learn, it goes to the second part. A guy is not kosher even though he's forcing him to do what a Jew is telling him to do. And this is a discussion on its own, what the Pshat and Mechagos Rishayim. Why don't you say if the guy is forcing him, so he's going to be willing to divorce like by selling? Really, it should be kosher. Why do they say that it's possible? If a guy can force a Jew to give a get, so a woman who's not so happy with her husband, she'll be mezani, go to Goy, and tell the guy, force my husband to divorce. Says the Gemara, So who asked the question? Lakach misikri koyin b'chos l'kalabayis. We learned the previous daf. In the second skit, we learn if someone goes and takes from a sikrikri, and then he goes to Balabayis, so the din is mikri batel, right? It's a bad sale. If I also nami name, I got until gomer market is oinus, he's willing to buy, to sell. Right? There, if you just learned in the previous daf, if you give him words be'alma and says go lechazek ukri, then you're right. Then he's not serious. In other words, it really just shows how serious he is. If he's really serious about it, you write a star. If you write a star, that shows he's not serious about it. But if he does write a star, that shows that he really means the sale. Well, Shmuel don't b'shtar nam lekono ma'ikol. What about Shmuel? He holds even shtar is not koine. Moed Shmuel echad diyoy v'zuzei. So Shmuel will agree when he pays, meaning that if he did pay, he agreed it. And what are we saying that he's not koine when he didn't pay? As our Rashba said, so meaning the Gemara understands that he wrote B'shtai, paid for it. It says the Gemara, no, Shmuel will explain in this case he didn't pay. But if he did pay, then it's all. So but Rabbi we learned, go back, that's the previous daf. We mentioned the previous daf. Remember Rabbi said that even if he paid, the sale is void, he just get back the money. Says, well, Rabbi is a name, is quoting somebody, it's not his. It's a machlekes. If who knows, you're forced to sell, it's sold. And Rabbi holds no, forced to sell is not sold. So machlekes, if a person who's forced to sell something, and got money for it, is the sale a good sale, or it is void. Just to mention, it's two of the discussion unfortunately we have. One is regarding karbonis. This brings you the question. We don't force someone to have a carbon. There's only some karbonis we force. And why is that so? If we hold that when you force a person to give a carbon, it's a good carbon, so it should work by every karbonis. That's one discussion over here. Was to say why you have to have a kapara, not a kapara. There is another discussion here. Now that we say Taliv Zov Zvini, does he have to say Roitzani or not? Does he have to say I want? Like we see by carbon and by get, he has to say Roitzani. Or just the mere fact that he doesn't protest by the sale, he writes a shtar, it's good enough. So that's a big machlekes the Rishonim, does he have to say Roitzani or not? And that's a big discussion over here in the Lomdus of the Sugya. Says the Gemara, person was forced to sell, his sale is a good sale. We don't say that Elo, we definitely chesed base on top, besode stam. That's only in if he said, you know what, buy a field. He wasn't specific. Al besode zu loy. But if he said, if someone was forced to sell certain esade, then we say that he didn't really mean it, right? In other words, if they told him sell a field and he chose which field, the fact that he chose it shows he agrees. But if they told him sell this field, there's no riot that he actually agreed. Only if he didn't count the money. In fact, he counted the money shows he was serious about the sale. I have no way to get out of it. But if he had a way to get out of it, it was too hard for him, you don't say it. So is always the avu zvini. It's always a sale. Even if he had this specific field. The Aisha kesod zuda. Isha, a woman who's being married, is like the sadazu. I'm going to tell you if he went and he hanged the woman. He hanged the woman and said, you either marry me or I'm not going to take you off the tree. And she said, okay, I'll marry you. It's a good kiddush. Even though that's a sadazu. He's very specific. It's not, you have many women. It's like considered to be like he's giving us very specific instructions. So that you see from here around you, the even sadazu works. My Bava Shalom Beishav Vada Kiddushin Lo Yavu. Like Kiddush doesn't work. Why not? Not because it's not Tel Yuv Kodesh. But who also Shalom Kohen again? Think of Suyi Moy Shalom Kohen again. He did something wrong, so they did for him something wrong as well. Vafkinu Rabbanon the Kiddush Minei Rabbanon took away his Kiddush. Amalei, Ravinu Lavashi, take Mekadosh B'Kasei. Because Mekadosh with money, so we'll take away the money. Hefka based on Hefka. Kodesh Mebiya Ma'ikamer, what about Biya? What do they do to the Biya? Amalei, Shavir Abban Lebi Loss, Bilas News, to make the Biya Bilas News. Now, this is a Gemara that we saw many times throughout Shas, this idea, Ksuvis, Yavamis, Gittin, we saw this idea that when a person, when the Gemara says, called the Mekadosh, the Gemara adds another sentence that we don't have by us. This is where Rashbam says, really belongs over here as well. Called the Mekadosh, that they're born Mekadosh. When you're Mekadosh, you do Kedas Moshe V'Yisrael. So what is the discussion of the Gemara? Gemara says, okay, that's if I give money, I'm willing to give my money, I'll Das Moshe V'Yisrael. If one will agree, yes, if not, not. But by Bia, a person is doing a Bia on Tnai, then maybe the Bia can be a Bia's Nus. Says the Gemara, yeah, also Bia, you do on Das Moshe V'Yisrael, and it's based on Rabbah. That's what Gemara says. The Rashi, in many places, the Rashbam over here brings another sheet that wants to say that maybe Kiddushi Kesef is the Rabban. Midorais only Bia works, not Kesef. And therefore, that we're saying Kiddushi Kesef Rabban can take away because Rabban is the one who established it. Rashi and the Rashbam always say that's not true. We learn it, it's a full deraisa. So it's also a deraisa, there's no chiluk between them. And interesting over here, an argument doesn't say called Mekadosh that Rabban Mekadosh. But says the Rashbam, here it applies as well. Toysa says no, doesn't apply with you. But Bishtamo, when a person did Kiddushin, and now he's doing Gerushin 20 years later. And now you want to come and uproot the Kiddushin. You say his original Kiddushin was that the Rabbanim, because he said that Kedas Moshe V'Yisrael. But here the Kiddushin was done wrongly. He came and took a woman, put her on the tree. We don't say don't do that. He's still doing it. So Al-Karkul is now doing Kedas Moshe V'Yisrael. So you can't say called the Mekadosh that the Rabbanim Mekadosh. The person does Kiddushin, does that to the Rabbanim. So says, the Tais says, here is because of a different reason. Here it's because Rabbanim took away the Kiddushin. It was a Kiddushin D'Oraisa. And it was not done to Rabbanim. But Rabbanim would punish the person that took away his Kiddushin. This is a big chiddush of Tais in our Sugya. The Rabbanim have the ability to take away the Kiddushin even though it was not done at that of the Rabbanim. Another big discussion over here that we have is they're talking about you forced a woman. What about forcing the man? If the man was forced to do Kiddushin, does that work or not work? And many say no, it does not work. You can't force a man to do Kiddushin. Why not? If you owe that till you v'zom vini, so you should be till you Kiddushin. Not only the woman. So here you have the Chazal Sofer. Chazal Sofer speaks about when we say someone who sold is a good sale. What about the person who was forced to buy something? Is that a good buy or not? Says the Chazal Sofer, no. Why not? Says the way it works, he brings a spot. Says the way it works, the lumdus is, he's not selling. Can't force someone to sell. He's not selling. But what he's doing is, his misalik is bios. He's like, you want to take it? I don't want to sell it to you, but you know what? You're forcing me, so I'm removing my ownership. And then the buyer can buy it. He's not doing something because he's forced. He's just removing what he has. That's why the seller can sell. But the buyer cannot buy it because the buyer needs to actually purchase it. And that's the difference between the Isha and the Ish. The Isha is considered to be someone she's selling herself. The Ish is buying her. You can't force them to buy. You can force her to sell. That's like I'll say for over here. Very sadistic in our study. Continues the Gemara and says, Tabi Tolo the Papi. Tabi is the name of a person. He hanged Papi a Kinor. Right? He hanged him on a Kinor. The Rashbam explains is the name of a tree. There's Zobin, and he sold. So Rav Chana signed a Moidah. We learned earlier. What's a Moidah? Moidah is when you announce the Eidim, this sale is not a good sale. This sale is void. And Ashkalto is a shtar that says this is a good kidney. So he signed and said it's not a good kidney, and signed and said it is a good kidney. If you sign the Moidah, that's good. Because he didn't mean to sell. And one who sells the Ashkalto is also good. Because Taliu v'zov is vini. So once again, Manushah. Imoido lo Ashkalto. Ashkalto lo mido. It's either or. It's either a good sale or not a good sale. Says the Gemara Achikol. Ilav moido, without the moido, man dechod im Ashkalto shavi chosim. The sale is a good sale. Right? If you didn't want to do a moido. Ravuna the time, Ravuna Taliu v'zov is vini. If someone was forced to sell and he sold, it's a good sale. But if he did a moidah, he went to the Eidim right away to say, Rabbi, I'm not agreeing to sell. I'm giving you an announcement. I'm giving you a moidah. Please write a shtar. this sale I'm not willing to do. He's Mekal Das, he's not willing to do it. If you have a Moidah, the Moidah takes away the Taliuv is always Vin's Vin. Without the Moidah, I assume it's a good sale even though you was forced. Says the Gemara, Aini, says that Aini V'Oma Nachman, Rabban said, what is the problem? The problem is here, the Rav Rachana signed both stars. He signed the sale and he signed the disqualification of the sale. Says the Gemara, Aini V'Oma Nachman, Aini Shomu Amonu Yudveinu, Aini come and say, oh, by the way, what do we sign? It was a money. What's a money? A money is a star that they write. It's not the transaction not really happened. It's a trustworthy thing. If it happens, you'll use it. That's what they come and testify. I'm going to test them down with that. Ain't money. You can't say it. Moidah, they come and say it was a moidah. He announced us. They didn't really mean it. Ain't money. So how can you, in other words, Aid can't come and uproot what he said before. So how can Rabbi Yochanan come and uproot what he said before? He says, that's I'll pay. You can't come with your words and uproot a star that you signed. But to write a star to take away the star, that you could do. And what's the reason? The reason is because a star, every star is a koyach, as the Rashbam explains, so the star is a much bigger power. So a pen doesn't take it away. If it's a star, you get the star, it does work. Let's conclude the Gemara over here, the Sovya. If they had to come and change their testimony and say it was either a mana or a moidah, to say a mana, we don't trust you. But moidah, you do trust him. My time is nisan likosev, nisan likosev. So he says there's a difference. There is a reason why they did it. They did it to be matzah the onus me'oinsu. It's not, and Rashbam explains, usually a head cannot change his word because it's chayzer market. He said one thing, you're changing your words. But if you say a mana, you're changing your words. So I see a star, I think a star is okay. Say no, it's a mana, it wasn't a serious star. So you're changing your words, you can't do it. Well, I'm not changing my words. I'm telling you, I signed it originally because the guy was being forced. And he told me don't write on my door. Not change my words, just explain to you what we're talking about. That's what you're doing. So that's okay. It's actually the B'chazur Magin, and that's the Mechlekas over here, is Moidah considered to be something you can retract, or Moidah is, can you retract with a Moidah? Can retract with a Moidah. So stop over here. Maybe the show we'll see when we'll do the next daf. Maybe it will be tomorrow morning to do the daf of Tuesday, which is a daf of Tisha B'Av. Kol Tuv. Have a wonderful day.
Okay, have a good one.